everyone. I wanted to speak today on the strange case of Adji Sarr. And this is a girl that is currently 23, I believe. And she has accused the presidential candidate Usman Sonko of the R word. SA. So I looked into everything and I just wanted to present the facts that I know, and of course present a little bit more of the hearsay that is going on, which is the reason why we have this political turmoil going on in the nation. First things first, she accused this presidential candidate of the R word, SA, and she said it happened 5 times between 2020 and February 2021. This is something that was very interesting to me because I was just like, okay, it's the circumstances around it. And one thing that I would like to say before I get started on everything is the fact that I always believe the victim first. Like, we always believe the victim. That is the goal. You should always believe the victim unless evidence comes out that she lied. And this is where it gets a little tricky. So I looked at everything and she said that it's happened 5 times, and also she did send video evidence. But the thing is, with the video evidence, it is not real evidence per se. Let's just say that nothing is shown, no intimacy, nothing with the video evidence. It's just, it sounds great when someone says it out loud. Oh, there's video evidence. But in court, from what has been shown and what has been said, it was not any intimate things that were going on. And of course, because of this, the presidential candidate did say that he was told to go there by one of his really good friends because he had back pain, and they told him this is like a massage parlor and it'll help you massage your back. Now, this is where things get a little interesting. She said that he intimidated her, pulled out 2 guns and, put it on the table and proceeded to, essay her, and then of course following death threats, making sure that she stays quiet. And she said that she was at a regular massage parlor. Nothing ever happened between her and her clients, which turned out not to be the case. But that does not negate the fact that she may have been, of course, SA. So for me, I was just like, well, just because she was doing inappropriate things with other clients does not mean that something did not happen to her. And that's number 1. But number 2, I think it's also the way that she presented herself. She presented herself as a very religious person that has never ever been intimate with another person. She also says a lot of things that I thought were very problematic. For example, she'll say, oh, he, was messing around with a young girl. And I'm like, you weren't a girl. She was 21 at the time that this happened. So now she's 23, around 23. So you were an adult, so we can't use certain words to make it seem worse than what actually happened. This was not him dealing with a minor. He's dealing with a young adult. Now, the charges are still serious though, but it's the wording that really changes the perspective. And I feel that a lot of times when small things continue to add up, it does cause doubt in people's mind. And another thing that came out was the fact that she had those video calls released, and she was speaking to somewhat of a priest. Basically, it was a priest-like person, and they were talking together, and you can see that essentially she alludes to the fact that this was a plot, and someone told her, like, do this, do that, so that this person can get charged, and say this, say that. So essentially she is saying that she has a lot to blackmail certain people on, certain bigger figures in the Senegalese community. And I just thought that's very odd for someone that is showing that they have only ever dealt with this. It wasn't her recanting, but it was her saying that someone put me up to this. There's 22 audios. Feel free to go look on the internet. If you type MC Nyas and Adji Sarr, you'll see it. And that for me was very troubling. Now, does that still mean that that may not have happened? No, I still think that there's something wrong there, because for him to even have that happen to her, for him to be able to be in the mess, he put himself there first. I don't care if someone tells you, oh, go to this massage parlor, to heal your back. Senegal is not America. Now, let's be very honest. We know that in certain areas, some things are more perceived to be the norm. And there's a lot of stereotypes that come with that. And I guess they weren't really thinking about that when they went. But at the same time, that's what most massage parlors are known for. Also, I'd like to say another thing. The owner of the massage parlor who spoke out against Adji Sarr, this lady, she said that she saw Adji Sarr with a whole bunch of other clients doing things that she wasn't supposed to do, which is why she was fired. They ended up even getting charged, her and the presidential candidate, who was not acquitted of rape. He was acquitted. They did get charged for misconduct, because technically there's just certain things that are not allowed in Senegal. So even you admitting to being around there is not okay. So they got charged $35,000 maybe. It was like 30,000 euros. So if you convert it, it's around that amount. So it was just very interesting to see that happened, and they did charge him for that. They also charged him for inciting the youth. And mind you, this is nothing to do with his actual criminal case, which is why I side-eye the government, because it was the president that charged him with that, and no official judge signed off on that. But because of the political setup of Senegal, of course, the president can do whatever he wants. And that's why this is also something that we see and we're like, okay, this might be an actual plot because of the small things that are coming out. And also, she was promised that she would be able to go to America or England as a, refugee or a diplomatic status, if she came out and said all this, which is very disappointing. But again, it still, to me, does not mean that nothing happened to her. Now, she was caught in some lies. For example, she said she was pregnant. She was never pregnant at the time she said she was pregnant, but she said that nothing ever happened, that she's never done anything, and it turns out she has like a 5-year-old daughter. And it was just a lot of things that she lied about. But that does not mean that she lied about the essay. And that's what I'm trying to make many people clear about. Yes, we've caught her in many lies. But that doesn't mean that that was a lie. So, of course, we're always going to go with, what she's saying. Now, he has been acquitted. So all of the evidence that she said that she has is unfortunately not seen as evidence in the court. And I do remember there was something that came out about her going to her doctor, and her doctor said this happened, but then the doctor went and recanted their statement, which was weird, you know. And then of course they told her to go to a official hospital. She refused, and there's like a lot of nuances that end up happening, and it was disappointing. Also, another thing that I would like to add is that I do remember her boyfriend is in the National Assembly, so he's like also part of the government. And you know, he came up to the presidential candidate, and he was trying to fight him, and the presidential candidate ended up slapping him and everything. So I do know that there's some things that she didn't want out, and it really did come out. You know, she wanted to be perceived as a certain way, but in Senegal, once you start lying about certain things, they just assume that everything is not true. So for her, and also I'd like to point out one other thing. I did not like the way the French channels actually dealt with this. For me, they were definitely putting words in people's mouths. Like the translation from French to Wolof was absolutely inaccurate. And it just seems like the French news was actually trying to side with the president and trying to sully his name, because they were not being accurate at all. And I was so disappointed, because I was trying to look for a lot of evidence and it was just so inaccurate, to the point where I'm thinking, okay, well, this just adds to the idea of it being a plot. It just keeps adding to the idea of this being a plot and this essentially not being the truth, because you, as a news channel, should be making sure you're getting all of the facts, you're translating accurately, and you're being fair to both parties if you're trying not to be biased. But for them, they clearly side with, oh, this presidential candidate should not be a candidate at all. We should just keep having this horrible president in Senegal, like the worst president in Senegal, because it happens to help the French. And as you can see, the French right now are going through it in Africa. Most people want them out of Africa, and they just don't want to leave because it does not benefit them. All their resources are not in France. It is in Africa. So essentially, colonization never really ended, because they're always in the back waves, and they're always the ones pushing for the best interests of their country. And we can't fault them for that, but best believe the country should be able to decide what is also best for them. And if France keeps taking people's resources, then they should be gone. And they need to go back and figure themselves out and try and find some resources from their country or their European allies. So that was one thing with the whole France and how they came into it and how disappointing everything has been. But again, this is part of the weird case of Adji Sarr. And I do hope that she really does come up and really, you know, starts being more truthful. But I do also understand that if she recants her statement, I mean, that's going to be detrimental for her. She really can't recant her statement right now, because not only did she start this political turmoil going on, and honestly he might have started it too, because he should have never been there, but she is the one that actually said something, so that was the start. However, it is his actions that may have caused all of this to start in the beginning. Yeah, because we know for a fact that he went to the massage parlor at least once. And he explained himself, but it was at least once. And of course, you know, there's voice memos and everything that was shared in court, which acquitted him. And the only thing he was really charged with, besides the misconduct situation with him and the owner of the massage parlor is the fact that someone from his camp or something were sending death threats to her, you know, and saying like, you need to recant your story or else, you know, and you're not telling the truth. And, you know, they just basically were seemingly harassing her and sending death threats, which honestly the whole country was, especially after those messages leaked. There was a lot of falsities, and even her family members came and said it wasn't true. And I think that's really what made this situation even worse, is the fact that her baby's father, her boyfriend, like a lot of people came out and spoke and said everything that she was saying was not true. And essentially they all just made it worse for her. I'm just kind of disappointed for her on that end. And I do hope and pray that, you know, if this is true, she gets justice. That's the goal. But he's been acquitted, so I don't know about all that. But I do hope that if that's the case, he gets what's coming to him. But if she's lying, though, that's so disappointing, because that's setting victims back, especially in Senegal. It's already hard enough for people to believe certain things in Senegal, especially when it comes to SA. They usually don't believe the victims. So, you know, we've already pushed for them to always believe the victims. And so when people come out lying, it is definitely harder for people that are telling the truth. So let's just hope and pray that everything's okay. I hope that she gets some peace in all this. And just because he was acquitted doesn't mean it wasn't true. But also we just need to look very much into how we say things and who we support overall. And yes, someone might be a great politician, which I believe there are no great politicians. Every politician is in it for themselves. There's no humanitarians at this point, because every politician is looking out for their best interest, right? But that doesn't mean they're a good human being, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. So thank you guys so much for listening to this. Now let's hope that we can continue to improve Senegal's political climate for sure. And also I will be coming in with a little bit more information on France versus West Africa. Yes. All right. Thank you so much, guys, for listening. Bye.